From the beginning, I just wanted to know about how did you end up doing what you've done career-wise? How did it all start? What was the beginning?
It wasn't a plan like that. My mum said, "You're not particularly pretty, Janet, so you're not going to get a husband unless you learn to cook." So she sent me to catering college. Yeah, and that's how it started. So I was at catering college and I passed my sitting girls, and I came out, and the jobs to do catering, it was like such low pay, and I didn't really like it anyway. So I applied for a job being an underwriter, which was at Rothschild's Bank.
Okay.
Obviously faked all my qualifications because I wasn't particularly bright. I could talk, but I didn't do well at school at all. So Rothschild's Bank took me on as an underwriter, which was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed doing that. But then I was good. So they moved me on to repossessions, and that's where the fun started, really, I suppose. The people that I'd lent the money to, this is going to sound quite bad, were then going bust. Good old Maggie Thatcher had got in, and it was great, and there was a lot of recession. So my job then was to go and repossess the photocopiers that I'd lent the money on. Okay. So, and then they all came back, and then I had to sell them to people like what I do now, to dealers. Yeah. And there was thousands of pounds worth of equipment, and they were making offers, and I had to take the best offer. But they were like £100 and £200. They all knew not to offer high on it. I was thinking, but if I bought this, I'd make a fortune. I could get new curtains and get my carpet fixed, because I was working from home then. So I set up a company on the side from Rothschild's, and when we offered out, I got all the people that were offering on it. My company, which was called Woodbank, because it wasn't an inventive. I lived at Woodbank. Oh, I call it Woodbank. So I bought all the equipment. I documented everything. So if ever I was found out, I did it legally. Yeah. My offer was always higher than everyone else's, obviously, because I took the offers anyway. So, and that's how it started. And then Rothschild's found out and said, "Oh, you shouldn't really be doing this, Janet. So, but we're going to have to fire you." I said, "Well, can I resign, please?" So they let me resign, and then I was their repossession agent. So I used to go about for Rothschild's repossessing equipment, and that's how it started. And I thought, well, I'm buying and selling it. If that's all it's about, what if I did new stuff? Because buying and selling, you get a certain type of customer. Yeah. And I didn't want that type of customer. I wanted big customers and nice customers and not wanting second hand. So I thought, Minolta, at the time, we approached Minolta and said, "Can I sell your products?" So they said, they ignored me. They did ignore me, and so I rang again. I thought, well, I'm going to give up. I wanted Minolta products. I wanted Minolta because they were a better brand.
So you'd identified that right from the beginning.
And I wanted to be the Waitrose of the copier world. I didn't want to be a Netto. So I didn't want any other equipment, Minolta. So they eventually came to see me and said, "Well, yeah, that's fine. But in the meantime, I'd studied the area and why they should give me a dealership." And Stockport was having massive investment. So I thought, well, I'll just go with that. Don't go off me. And they gave us a dealership in the end. And that's how it started. And then the repossessions kind of subsided, luckily, because then I could sell to bigger companies. That's, and build up. And the customers I have then, I still have today.
And so from that beginning, straight away, you knew. It sounds like at each stage you knew how to have the vision for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, just naturally. So you'd already decided, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that.
Yeah. I had decided, but I don't think it was planned like that.
No.
I still think I've got imposter syndrome. I kept thinking someone's going to knock on the door and say, "Come on, come back, go and work on the tills somewhere. This isn't for you." Yeah, and I still to this day get that. Not quite as bad, but I do think, I do worry that I've got imposter syndrome, and I know that. I think
that's an interesting aspect as well, because even now, speaking with all your experience and success, that can still feel like you're not going to have it forever, or you're not going to keep it. It still plays a part, doesn't it?
Huge part. I still get that.
And that beginning, so the relationship with Minolta then and then Konica Minolta has always been from the start of Woodbank in that business area?
Always. I know you are working from them, but they are brilliant to work with. And although they're hugely more corporate, they still feel like a family business to me. They are hands-on and they do care about the dealers. It is a nice relationship with Konica.
And for you also, it was quite product-centric initially as well, because I know that's the feedback we get about the Rolls-Royce element of our products and services.
You are particular who you take on. That many of the other dealerships and the manufacturers, well, if someone is interested, they'll take them on no matter what. Konica is a lot more strict. You have to be financially sound as well. And a lot of the dealers are not. You know, they're not as, and Konica is a lot stricter. They are a little bit better dealers. I find that anyway.
And do you think that professionalism has always been really important to you? Because going right back to how you started, I mean, what was the industry like? What was, you know, you were there doing this young female. What was that like? What was the experience like?
Well, I suppose because I didn't take it seriously, I just wanted to earn a living at first. And I wasn't taken seriously at all.
Interesting.
You know, well, I wasn't taken seriously. Even on one of the trips we went on, someone walked up and shook hands with my husband and wished him well because he'd got on the trip.
Oh, really? And he was there as your partner?
And he was there as my partner. Yeah, and I thought that was really rude.
Yeah.
And then they used to take about the 20 of the top dealers away. And we were second. They used to have league tables. It was great. So when the first trip abroad was like, we came second, and they clapped me on stage for being the first woman. I thought that was terrible, being clapped on, to think we have a woman dealer. It should be this person's achieved these figures, not that it's a woman walking on. And I thought I just thought, well, it shouldn't be about women. It just so happens, because it was men and women there, the men brought the partners, which was another thing they weren't happy about, because I joined and I'd won, came second in the competition. This is 20 years ago. A few of the men had complained, we have to bring our wives now. It used to be a men-only trip, which used to be quite wild. And then they decided, well, heck, we're going to have to bring a woman along now. What we're going to do? So they decided, instead of being 40 men, it was 20 of the top dealers. You brought your partners. So, but then others who were actually congratulated me and said, this is great. He said, I work all year, it's somewhere, and I talk about work. My wife is so pleased. And the wives warmed to me because they'd got this amazing place and this holiday, and all the terms and conditions changed because Konica then had to change it. You know, instead of being a man's trip abroad for 40 men, it was very different. It was different, and it was nice. So we went to beautiful restaurants and lovely hotels, and gala evening we could all dress up, and actually it was much nicer.
And do you think that getting taken seriously, did that change? Has that changed? Is that different when you fast forward to now?
It is now, because although the dealers won't like me to, and I won't mention the names, they'll ring me up and ask advice, and I think, oh, if anyone's watching Educating Rita, I think that's my favourite film. And she went and she did the same, and then the ending clip of Educating Rita, she sat on the lawn and all the bright students are coming out, do you remember, can you tell me this? And this girl sat on the lawn and she has answering all the questions. I think that's me, you know. So yeah, they do ask, and a lot of them turn to me saying, I've got this situation, can you help? And I love that. I love it. Secretly inside, they probably, I just think it's great that they can now ask me, and I know the answers. And
you're giving that experience to others.
I mean, we've been with Konica 29 years, and there's not many left that are still with Konica after this time. And the ones that are left, like thinking about retirement, or they're not looking at growth. And I feel I'm a new company every day. You know, I don't feel like, it's a long time in business, and I don't feel it is.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that's because your ambitions and visions changed, and that's what's really interesting for you? Have you still got that desire to do the next thing with how different it is now in a technology world, isn't it?
Gosh, yeah. technology has changed. I mean, 25 years ago, you used to knock on doors. You were like a double glazing salesman.
Yeah.
You know, and me being in the industry all that time ago, I was trusted. It was so nice being in the industry because I think women are more trusted than men. Men used to go out and sell, and I used to do extremely well. You know, not because women are trusted. I think they still are to this day. I think we're, you know, if I don't go on as many appointments, I do try and do a few, but we're trusted more in this industry. And what has changed? Yeah, you're more consultancy now. You're not selling. I don't think you're selling yourself and your company.
Yeah,
there you were selling a machine. It does this, this, and this, and it's this amount of money. Now you don't even talk about that. You talk about the future with us. You know, you've got to think that person. I always think when I go out to see someone, you're my customer for life. Don't talk about today, talk about what you're going to get in the future. And that's what I instill in sales guys. And I call them sales guys, but they really do consult now. It's a very different sales nowadays.
And how does that shift for you in terms of, so there you're talking about now you've got teams of people, right?
Yeah.
You've got people that your company, your culture. How have you made that be what you know it should be? How you wanted it? How important is that for you, your company culture and what others represent for you?
Years ago, I had a mentor, and he was brilliant. And if you set the foundations of your company up, everything else will flow. It's the same as a house. If you haven't got foundations, your house falls down. So I think from very early days, and I'm going to say slow and steady wins a race, because I know there's companies that have far exceeded me and grown faster, but my growth has been an awful lot slower, but we're steady and we're strong, you know, and we are. So I instill that in the guys. They see what we do, and we do have culture. Yeah, we have a great culture. We want everyone to, trust is one of our main words, and not trust each other. And then customers will trust you, your company's trustworthy, you know, and then if that's instilled in every single person, you soon find out if they're not a good fit. So we have had staff come and go, and so you shouldn't be afraid of that ever.
It's too important, isn't it?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
People at work, that's too important.
I think trust is a great word, and the people around me, just trusting them and employ the best you can. At first you think you don't want anyone better than you, but that's so wrong. The people I've got working around me are superb, and they really are. So you get the best you can.
I think that's really interesting what you said there, because I think that is something that a lot of leaders and business owners do fail at, is that you don't want to bring in brilliance for how that makes you feel. What's your thoughts about whether, as a female in business and leadership, you find it easier to allow others to be brilliant? Do you think that's a difference ego-wise between men and women and their leadership?
I'd say so years ago, but not now. Not now, although I still will get letters through the door to Mr. Bowden.
Really?
Yeah, they don't get opened. But the culture's changed, well, between men and women. It has got better, and I think Konica's got better as well, because they didn't know how to deal with me at first. But now, I'm just the same as every other partner and any other dealer, really. You do treat me the same now. And I think my team, there's my two ladies who work for me, one's been with me 20 years and one's 17.
Oh, okay.
So
come with you through that
They've
time.
come with me, and the sales staff are very steady now.
Yeah.
So is it a difference? I think nowadays people do accept women in business, and I don't think we should really say women in business. It's just women running a business, isn't it?
It's just business.
It's just business, isn't it? It shouldn't be made a thing of at all anymore.
And what did you do in days where it was more challenging and you weren't being taken seriously? How did you get around that? Were there things that you did, or did you just, as you said, slow and steady carried on? Because that's someone else's problem, you just deliver and prove.
What did I do? It probably sets you back a little bit, really, because you think, should you really be doing this?
Yeah.
You know, when I first started in business, it really was just to look after my son and pay the mortgage, and never once expected I'd be where I am today. But as time goes on, you think, oh, I'm enjoying this. Oh, I can do this. And as you just change as a people, don't you, really? And you learn an awful lot. Does it set me back? Yes, it does. It did set me back at first, but it doesn't, not anymore. No.
I mean, what's interesting with some things you're saying, for people that you work with in the industry, for the teams, your company, and probably also for your child, I can guess, there's that, you're an example, aren't you? You're a role model, you're mentoring people. You probably don't see it like that, but there's lots of examples you're giving there about how you've focused on helping other people develop and grow with you as well.
Yeah, but you should. You know, it's a lovely experience seeing someone coming through. We've had a young lad that started as a junior. He's actually now ahead of his IT department, and he's brilliant. He really is brilliant. But we've nurtured him and trusted what he's going to do, and brought him on. And I love his transformation. I really do. And well, Emma came, and she's now head of accounts, and we've nurtured her. But if they've got something there, you know, it's quite easy to get out. And they look, I think training someone and spending time with them and trusting them, it is. I think I find that rewarding.
Yeah.
I look back at some of the people that work with me, and I just think, yeah, that's great, and I love to see it.
Did you have anyone do that for you?
No.
So you, because I've not heard that in your story so far. So you pushed yourself, and you got yourself where you needed to be.
I'd say my mum said go to catering college because that's the only way for that husband. Yeah, and then my dad always used to say the middle one. Well, what are you going to do? Because your sister's pretty and your brother's bright. And I remember to this day.
Wow, so really boxed in.
But you know, and you learn yourself. Don't ever bring your children up like that. You know, mum and dad. You know, were not. They weren't good role models. No, no. At all. So,
but in that, you still had that direction in that.
Yeah. I think it's strength. I want, you know, yourself. I wanted to just do it. I just wanted to prove, and I wanted nice things in life. And you know, my brother and sister are really proud. You know, but then every now and again, my brother slips up. This is my thick sister, and sometimes I don't like that. Yeah. And then he'll go, I know, but Janet, but you were. And he's probably quite male chauvinistic as well, really. So
I think it's interesting because some of what we're talking about, I guess, is about that underestimating people, isn't it? And actually not believing as much. You had that self-belief and drove that forward, because other people and the industry and business was saying, that's not for you.
Oh, definitely. On the trips, some of the dealers will come and talk to you, and they'd come over, and I don't think they'd ever expect to see me again. Yeah. You know, and then the next year I was there, then the next year I was there, and then the next year I was there again, and then they realised, oh, and then one of the big highlights of the trips is they pick a dealer to give a talk to everyone else. And to do that was like very nerve-wracking, but I stood up in front of them all and give a great speech.
Has there been really difficult times?
Cash flow is the worst thing for any company. Yeah. But that was probably hard. When we first purchased this building, that was a high. We'd come from a rented place at Strawberry Studios. And then the growth, like I say, slow and steady does win the race. But we bought this building, and we occupy 4 floors in this listed building, and we're on 1 floor, you know. And I think it's hard because I always wanted to employ the better people. I wanted to employ the person that fitted our culture, and it wasn't gone off a salary, or I wanted good people. So they wanted much better salaries. So I suppose money is your hardest thing, and having enough there. You know, your growth can be stunted if you haven't got enough cash flow. So that's hard. What's the hardest thing? Staff are hard, aren't they? People, yeah, getting the right people. Yeah. And it's learning that, you know, once you get the right people, life becomes easier. Yeah. It does. And I think if you've got something to do, just do it. Don't linger. And the most important, do it at your own pace. I do think that's important. Don't compare yourself to anybody ever, because that, like looking at the industry and how other people do it. I mean, you might have to do that at Konica. Yeah. I don't. I know what they're up to, but I'd never compare, because I want to do, like I say, things differently. My customer mainly will stay. We've lost a few through you know, not being around any longer, or someone offering a bigger deal. But the most pleasurable thing you'll find is that customer comes back.
It sounds as well like when you're talking about, you listen to the right voice, right? You're listening to the customer rather than what's a competitor doing, what's happening in the industry. You're actually, that's where you're going to have your partnership and connection. So you're following that rather than anything else.
Yeah, and the customers we have are the types of customers we want. You know, you can refuse business, which sounds a bit mad, but there's some customers that you don't want on your books. You don't want them. You know, are we particular? Well, there is customers we've turned down, yeah. And I just think sticking to your guns and just being true to yourself. And I know gut instincts is important, and it is to me.
Do you find that, because it sounds like exactly the example you've used there is you follow your own intuition and you're very clear, culture for the internal company, who customers should be with you. It's you know what that should look like, what your values should be, and you're true to it.
Yeah, stick to your guns and don't waver from that. I mean, the most important customer moved in this building in 2003. It was a great day. There was just all this space, and the sun was shining. I remember it was Maybank holiday, and the smell across the road was hops from Robinson's Brewery. And I sat on the steps, and I just thought, I'm going to have that customer one day. 19 years later, I got that customer.
Really?
During COVID. Yeah, I tried, because they'd replaced every 5 years, so it sounds like a long time. They'd replaced and replaced, and they wouldn't buy within their own town. They thought there was too much connection. They'd always buy out of town, which to me was mad. You should support your own, like support Stockport. I kept going there and got nowhere, and during COVID they'd had so many issues. I said, no, come to the building, you know, because I think, well, if you're going to refuse me again, do it on my terms. And they actually came into the building and looked round and fell in love with the place and what we did. And in heart, I don't think we'll ever lose that. It is a brilliant, they've said some great things. They know we're hands-on. It's a great, there's over 70 machines in there. And now when I look out the window, it makes me proud. Yeah. When I won't ever complain about the smell of hops again from the brewery, ever. So yeah, it's a good relationship. They dealt with the boss is what they wanted, and they get the best service they've ever had. And they say, if only we'd done this years ago. So, you know, that's a nice story. Yeah. I'm quite proud of that one.
And do you let yourself have those moments of pride and think about where you've come from and the things that you've achieved?
I still think we're a new company. I still do, because every day is school day and you learn so much, and I really enjoy it. I just enjoy coming to work and learning new things. So do I sit back and think, yeah, no, I don't. There's still so much more to do. Yeah. You know, people think, oh, what's your next plan? If anyone else asked me to retire, I will see a nasty side maybe. Do I look back? I sometimes do when I can turn over, like this month we'll turn over what we did in 2 years, we've done in 1 month. And that's a nice feeling, you know, thinking I was just doing it for pocket money, and where we are today, and the recognition we get and the support we've had from you guys, you know. I am proud, but there's still a lot more to do.
And what would you take as advice for people? So when we've been talking today, I've heard so many different things that for me is advice, but you know, you've successfully built a brilliant business. You've done that in a male-dominated industry. What advice would you give other people who might be suffering from imposter syndrome or need that inspiration?
I'm going to say do it at your own pace. Okay. I know I've said that earlier on, but you should. Don't rush. Just do it with what feels comfortable. And work hard in silence and let success be your noise. I don't shout about what I do, ever. To me is advice, but don't look at what other people are doing. And if you're replacing someone's job, do it your way. You know, they're not there for a reason. You know, do it your own way and trust yourself and have fun. You know, don't take life so seriously.
I think the fun part a lot of people forget, right? For some reason, the fun and business get separated, and yet together it's a joy, right?
joy. And the best day at work to me is if I'm in my office, if I hear laughter, I don't take it as they're not working. I think they're working and enjoying it and bringing in business. And I love to hear laughter about the building. So if that's advice, and don't worry about what the people are doing.
I think it's great advice. From the conversations we've had before this and talking to you now, like that's the things you've said that really stick with me is around that pace. And also when we were talking, the fact that you don't need to do it the same as somebody else. That's really stayed with me, because I think that can happen to lots of people when they go into a role that existed somewhere else or by somebody else.
Yeah, just don't follow ever. Just be true to yourself and lead, and just trust what you're doing, and make sure you're trustworthy as well. You know, you shouldn't go wrong, and just be passionate about what you do. You know, passion's a massive thing. Sometimes when you get upset over something, it's because you're passionate, isn't it? You know, some of the Konica people will say, oh gosh, Janet shouts. No, she doesn't. She's just passionate about what she does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone once said to me, no passion, no point. And I thought that was a really good...
Yeah, that's great.
Good tag. And I was like, yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
And what do you think about leadership? What do you think others would say about you as a leader?
Ooh, what would they say? I don't know what really they'd say. I think I'm hands-on. And yeah, I'm, rather than a boss, a leader's more important than a boss. I don't act like the boss. I mean, they know I run the company, but to lead and to encourage everyone else to be the best they can.
Yeah.
You know, and from whoever they are, Emma started out as on reception, but she had so many qualities she didn't know about, and now she runs the whole of the accounts. In fact, does some accountancy work, and she's been with me, I say, 17 years, and she's come on leaps and bounds by just bringing her on and seeing her value. I think I was lucky. I saw my own value. Eventually, you know.
And now you're constantly looking for other people's.
Yeah, and you see it, the moment you do see it quite easily in other people now. As soon as you meet someone, you think, oh yeah, you can see their value.
So, because some of the things we've talked about, one of the things that's really fascinating me is that how you motivated yourself continually, how you continually motivate yourself. Is that just, it naturally happens for you, or is there ways that you think you did that? How did you motivate yourself?
I suppose it's one step at a time. Like I say, don't rush. And once you've achieved that, then move on again and do the next one. And I just think, and once you've achieved that and you know you've done it successfully, then it's the next step, isn't it? I mean, your customers are the most important thing. And I think we must do it right, because they keep coming back. And it's not a fight. They come back because they love to deal with us. It's quite motivating, really, when they come back. And if you go and see them, they become like, it's not like selling anymore. You know, going back to a customer, it's quite easy to do once you look after someone. I mean, it's life. If someone looks after you, you'll always go there, won't you? Yeah. And if you get good service, sometimes you'll pay a little bit more. You know, and if the person barters, they're not for us, are they? So it is quite inspiring when you can look out, or if you're driving down the motorway, it's really sad, and a van passing, you go, oh, that's my customer, that. And then you'll see a building, oh, that's my customer, that.
And they've chosen you and your business. What else inspires you?
Me. And that sounds, I hope that doesn't sound big-headed.
It doesn't.
Me, because I know my mum and dad didn't, and I do, and I'm amazed some of the things I've done and can do and still have yet to do. You know, like I say, every day is a school day. There's so much more I can do, and I'm confident I can do it. There's so much growth left in the company. There's so much more to do and grow. And the more you encourage the team around you, the easier it is to grow. So I think I inspire myself. I can't think of anyone famous. I go, they are an inspiring person, but no, it's me. Dinner. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and coming to work in the morning, it's just a pleasure. I can't wait. Sundays are my nightmare. I just can't wait to get in on a Monday. And when you hear the girls saying, oh, thank goodness it's Friday, I think, no, it's not. Thank goodness Friday's for me. It's like, oh, thank goodness it's Sunday. So yeah, I do inspire myself. I know there's so many business books, and I'm not saying you shouldn't read, but it comes within.
Yeah.
And don't be in a rush. Enjoy every day and take it at your own pace. No one else's. Don't. Advice is great, and I when I first in business, I visited other dealers, listened to all their advice, took none of it, and did it my own way. But it was good to see them all, to invite it to all the other dealers and see how they run their companies. And you take the best bits, but there actually wasn't very many. So I did it my own way. So advice is just, you don't have to be university educated to run a business at all. People think you should have all the qualifications. I think life experiences and being true to yourself and do your own pace. And no matter what, it's not a man's world or a woman's world. I don't think it should be, I don't think you should even enter your head. Just do what makes you happy.
And don't set yourself any limits.
No, you shouldn't. No, and once you've crossed the first bridge, the next bridge, and just keep continuing, and until you don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't do it. If you enjoy it, you're going to exceed anyway. You did it at school. I just loved maths. It did help. The maths teacher was pretty gorgeous. But if you love maths, you will always excel. And I was good at drama. I was rubbish at English, So it's the same in business. Do what you love. And if I'm not good at something, pass it on. Don't worry. You just pass it to someone else. Mel has taken so much of the stuff I don't like, and she relishes in it because she loves it.
So you get others around you thriving, right? And that's good for your business too.
Don't keep it all to yourself, which I did. Don't be a control freak. Just pass things on.
Did you have to lessen that as you scaled up? So obviously initially it would have been everything you did was the reason you were successful, but once you have to get into employing other people and scaling up, you have to think more about where your skills are and what you need from others.
Just to step back sometimes and let them do it. And if they don't do it your way, good, let them do it their way and just chill. And if they make a few mistakes, let them and help them and nurture them, but let go. If you won't grow unless you let go. He said, yes, I did. I answered the phone. I did the accounts. I could even service a photocopier. I used to pick them up and put them in cars when I was a lot younger, and flat shoes. And but then you learn. Just grow. You won't grow unless you let go. And then find your niche, what you're good at. But when you're first in business, of course you're hands-on with everything, aren't you? And you should be. Because if someone asks me a question now, I know the answer. It might not be about what I do, but I know their roles. Because I've done all those roles.
So I think the way you speak, you're so intuitive. That's what you're following all the time. You're so certain that you trust your direction and what you think and how you should make decisions.
And I will and have and still will make mistakes. And I don't think you learn anything until you make mistakes and learn by it. Yes, I'll make them every day, but learn by it. Don't be frightened of doing something. There's big decisions and there's also some big risks. That's the fun bit. You have to do it. You just have to do it. Don't play by the rules.
I was going to ask you about risk because obviously you've got quite a comfortable risk-taking approach, I'm guessing, to build the business to how you have. How is that something that doesn't terrify you then? You can weigh it up, you see what's going on, you take it.
I wouldn't always take the easy route.
Okay.
I do risks, I've done it with Konica, buying stock, I'd rather buy 50 machines in one, because if I see them downstairs, that's the pressure for me to sell and get the guys more motivated. So that's a big risk because you've got to pay for those sometimes before you've sold them. So I think you need to take risks. You've got to. If you play by the rules, and no, it's no fun. You'd never get anywhere, would you? So, but not everyone will take risks, but you do need to.
I think the decisive nature in business is really important, right? You said about people can get caught up with what education do you need, what qualifications, but in my experience, business decision making, taking decisions quickly, taking risk, that's going to bring you growth and development.
It is. I also think if you think about it too hard, it won't happen. I always think, you know, it's either yes or no.
Yeah.
If I make a decision and then just do it, you know, I don't faff about. I won't do, because I'm sure I'll make a decision and I'm confident in it. We bought a company 2 years ago, Data Tech, and I've never done this before. And there was a wad of paper this thick to read through. Well, forms and me don't get on. So I thought, well, I know what I'm paying for it. I know it's going to bring in. I've got a solicitor. Why do I need to read it? So we just signed. It was a bit nerve-wracking, very nerve-wracking. In fact, really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, solicitor, paper, and we just did it. And it's now paid for. It's now part of the team. You wouldn't have even know we bought it because we're all the same company, and it's as if they've always been there. So I'd love to do it again. Would I do it differently? No, I wouldn't.
Do you think your confidence there in that, because you're okay with the mistake, even if it hadn't gone the positive way, you're all right with that too? Because you know how you could rewind it or do something different.
I knew what the basics were. I knew what all the customers' names. So, and I knew what the money it would bring in. Even if we lost, you know, 10%, it was still bringing in more than what I spent for it. So there was not really a risk.
Yeah.
And their types of customers, and the guy that, you know, when I spoke to the gentleman who was selling it, he was so like me. He just was, just in trousers and a suit. And I thought, and all his customers were the same. So they were just, it was easy. It was an easy thing. We weren't buying a company that didn't have the same culture as us, that didn't have the same values. His values were just the same as mine. What could go wrong? You know, you could have thought about it and studied it. You might have backed out, I don't know. But I knew it was right. I knew nothing could have gone majorly wrong.
Was anyone else advising you to read all that paper?
The solicitors said, well, you know, I'm paying you to do it. Why would I? Well, just in case I've missed anything. I said, well, you won't have done. That was it. Yeah. It was as simple as that. So, I mean, it was still a lot of money, but on the grand scheme of things, what it was bringing in, it's all done and dusted now, and I'd like to do it. I'd like to find another one.
Part of your growth plan?
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, we've not finished yet.